Ever feel like you're just, spinning your wheels?
Yeah.
Maybe you're doing okay, things look good on the outside, but something's missing. That feeling like you've got more potential locked away.
Mm-hmm.
What if the key wasn't about piling more on, but just starting your day differently?
Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. We love exploring big ideas here, the kind that can really shift things. And today, especially for you folks interested in books, knowledge, growth, we're diving into The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma.
Yeah, this book. It's been around for like over 20 years.
That's right. And Sharma's been teaching these principles to some seriously high achievers, CEOs, elite athletes, artists, even royalty, apparently, with amazing results.
So it's not just some flash-in-the-pan idea. The core concept is, well, it's pretty bold.
Mm-hmm.
Mastering your morning transforms everything.
Exactly. And our mission today is to really unpack that, pull out the most powerful, actionable stuff from the book, kind of give you a shortcut to understanding the main philosophy.
And see how maybe, just maybe, it could spark something for you. More productivity, sure,
Yeah.
but also maybe more fulfillment, more impact.
And the book does it in a really interesting way, doesn't it? It's not just a list of rules, it's wrapped in a story.
Right, there's an entrepreneur and an artist, both kind of struggling.
Uh-huh. And they meet this homeless guy who, surprise, turns out to be a billionaire mentor figure. It's through their journey with him that we learn about the 5 a.m. Club methods.
Okay, so let's dive in. The big one. Waking up at 5 a.m., the book calls this, what was it, the mother of all routines?
It does. It presents it as this foundational habit, the one that kind of lifts everything else up. The idea is it sets the tone for the whole day.
Why, though? What's so magic about 5 a.m. specifically?
Well, the argument is that hour from 5 to 6 a.m. is uniquely quiet, free from distractions, demands. It's your time before the world noise kicks in.
So you get this pocket of focus, energy.
Yeah, focus, energy, a feeling of being ahead of the game. The book says each morning is like a fresh chance to unleash your brilliance, which is quite a statement.
It is. And there's that quote from the Spellbinder, was it?
Mm-hmm.
High victory is made in those early morning hours when no one's watching and while everyone else is sleeping. Kind of gives you chills, actually.
It really paints a picture.
Yeah. I know what some of you listening might be thinking. 5 a.m. Seriously, I am not a morning person.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe 5 a.m. feels extreme right now.
Uh-huh.
But maybe step back from the specific time for a sec. Could some dedicated quiet time before the day's chaos hits help you focus, help you, actually absorb things without feeling totally swamped?
That's a great way to frame it. And building on that, the book introduces a specific structure for that first hour, the 20-20-20 formula.
We're not going deep into that today, are we? Because it unfolds later in the story.
Exactly. The mentor reveals it piece by piece to the entrepreneur and artist, but it's presented as the core method for that first hour, designed to really maximize its power.
And the promise attached to it is pretty huge, something about materializing genius, living with more joy.
Yeah, limitless joyfulness, I think was the phrase. So it's a key part of the system. Definitely something to look out for if you decide to, read the book itself.
But beyond the win and the specific formula, there's a bigger theme about just habits.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. The book really hammers home that extraordinary results aren't usually about luck or genetics. It's about habits and grit.
Like building these positive routines, even tiny ones, day after day.
Precisely. There's that quote attributed to Albert Gray.
Oh, yeah.
Something like, the common denominator of success lies in the fact that they form the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do.
Ooh, that's blunt. But it makes sense, especially for you listening. If you're trying to learn and grow, realizing that building the habit of learning, the habit of focus, that's maybe the real shortcut.
It really positions habits as the architecture of achievement, which logically leads to the next big idea, dealing with distractions.
Oh, this is the big one today. The constant pings, the notifications.
The book puts it starkly. An addiction to distraction is the death of your creative production.
Wow. Okay, so how do we fight back?
It introduces this concept called the tight bubble of total focus, TBTF.
TBTF, okay.
Right.
Like a mental fortress.
Kind of. Imagine literally putting a protective bubble around your focus, your energy, your willpower, even your time, shielding it from all the trivial stuff that pulls you away.
So practically, what does that look like?
Well, the book talks about things like, ruthlessly turning off notifications, maybe deleting distracting apps altogether, creating what it calls your personal Menlo Park, like Edison's lab, a space designed purely for deep work, free from interruption.
A personal Menlo Park, I like that. And for you listening, if you constantly feel pulled in a million directions, if information overload is real for you, this idea of intentionally creating focus zones seems critical, like actually building that bubble so you can think, learn, and create properly.
Definitely. It's about reclaiming your attention. Then there's another interesting concept, sort of a balancing act. It's framed as the legendary performance equation.
An equation. Okay, let's hear it.
Pressure x refueling. Growth plus endurance.
Pressure times refueling equals growth plus endurance. Huh. So pressure isn't necessarily bad.
That's the twist. The book argues that we actually need pressure, stress, challenge, stepping outside our comfort zone to grow. That's how capacity expands.
Okay, I can see that. Like lifting weights, you need the resistance.
Exactly. But, and this is crucial, the equation immediately balances it with refueling. Deep refueling cycles, it calls them.
So it's not just about pushing.
Yes, not at all. It emphasizes that intense recovery, real rest, intentional downtime. That's just as important for sustaining high performance and preventing burnout. You need both sides of the equation.
That makes so much sense. For learning, too, right?
Yeah.
You cram and cram, but if you don't step back and let it sink in, give your brain a rest, it doesn't stick.
Precisely. That integration needs recovery. Which leads nicely into another layer, the inner game. The book talks about nurturing what it calls the 4 interior empires.
4 empires, okay. Intriguing. What are they?
They are mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set.
Mindset, heart set, health set, soul set. So like thoughts, emotions, physical health, and purpose.
Pretty much. Mindset is your psychology, your beliefs. Heart set is your emotional life. Health set is your physical well-being. And soul set is your spirituality, your connection to purpose. The idea is that optimizing these 4 is the foundation for everything else.
And the book suggests working on these, specifically during that 5 a.m. hour.
Yeah, that victory hour is presented as a prime time to consciously cultivate these inner aspects, build that inner strength, that resilience, that sense of deeper meaning.
Which, feels like it connects back to motivation.
Yeah.
If you feel stronger internally, more purposeful, you're probably going to be more driven.
Absolutely. It fuels everything. And this whole journey, this cultivation, it's ongoing. It's about continuous growth.
There's that quote about change.
Yeah.
How does it go?
Yes. All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end.
Messy in the middle. That's relatable. It's a good reminder that it's okay if it feels awkward or difficult when you're trying something new.
Totally normalizes the struggle. And then there's this other idea tied to growth, the 2x3x mindset.
Okay. More math. 2x3x.
Yeah, it suggests you can aim to double your income and impact by tripling your investment in your personal development and professional skills.
So investing in yourself directly translates to bigger results.
That's the proposition. For you folks who are always learning, always looking to deepen your knowledge, this frames that continuous learning not just as self-improvement, but as a concrete strategy for advancement.
Makes sense. Keep sharpening the saw, basically.
Yeah. And the book also brings in a sense of urgency, doesn't it? Reminds us that life is, well, fragile.
Yeah, there are some poignant stories in there. The CEO trying to make up for lost time at the end, the author writing with blinks. It really hits home.
It underscores the idea that we shouldn't postpone expressing our talents, living authentically. Don't wait.
And that quote, be grateful for every moment. Don't be timid. Stop wasting time on insanely trivial things. Powerful stuff.
It really cuts through the noise, doesn't it? And connects to another practical idea. The power of small steps, or micro wins.
Ah, the 1% improvement idea.
Exactly. That focusing on making just tiny, consistent improvements, like 1% better each day, adds up incredibly over time. We often overestimate what we can do in a day, but underestimate what we can do in a year.
Just don't aim for perfection tomorrow. Just aim to be slightly better than today. Create a great day, and those days stack up.
It makes big goals feel much less daunting. It's an efficient approach, really. Focus on the process, the small daily actions.
Which brings us back to habits. The book actually breaks down how habits get installed, right? Through the Spellbinder's insights.
Yes, it outlines 3 stages. First is the destruction state of breaking old patterns, which can feel disruptive.
Okay.
Second is the messy middle. This is where it feels confusing, maybe overwhelming. You might want to quit.
The messy bit from the earlier quote.
Right. And the third is the integration stage, where the new habit finally clicks, becomes more automatic, feels good, even rewarding.
Just knowing those stages exist is helpful, I think. Especially that messy middle. Like, okay, this discomfort is part of the process, not a sign I should stop.
Exactly. It reframes the difficulty as necessary for growth. You just need to push through it.
And throughout all this, We see the entrepreneur and the artist going through these stages, learning from the mentor.
Mm,
It makes the ideas feel more real.
definitely. Their struggles and breakthroughs illustrate the principles.
So, wrapping things up a bit, we've touched on a lot. That powerful morning hour, the bedrock of habits, fighting distractions with that PBTF.
The balance of pressure and refueling, nurturing those four inner empires, the importance of tiny wins.
It's a whole ecosystem for personal growth, really.
It is. It's a framework for taking deliberate control, maximizing potential, and finding deeper meaning.
Okay, so for everyone listening, let's make this practical. Right now, thinking about your own morning routine, what's one small thing, inspired by this conversation, you could realistically try tomorrow? Just one.
Yeah, maybe it's not the full 5 a.m. jump. Maybe it's just, like you said, 15 minutes earlier for some quiet reading. Or maybe no phone for the first hour. Something achievable.
Exactly. And hey, if this has piqued your interest, definitely consider checking out the book, The 5 a.m. Club. The story adds a whole other dimension.
It really does.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Imagine one thing you currently think is maybe impossible or just really ambitious. What might happen to that goal if you started consistently, intentionally owning your mornings?
What masterworks, personal or professional, could emerge from that dedicated, focused time? Something to ponder.
Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us for this deep dive. We really appreciate you spending your valuable time with us.
We hope it gave you some food for thought, maybe sparked an idea or two about the potential hidden in your own mornings.